Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for today's video. In today's video I'm going to be doing my long-awaited Storybook Vale tour. I've completely finished the Storybook Vale map and it's taken me a long time. I honestly have had about 90% of this map done for the last 3 months, pre-Alice update and probably around the Aladdin update I completed my Vale, but I had 2 biomes left that for some reason it just took me so long to get them completed. So sorry this has taken longer than I expected it to, but obviously I just wanted to make sure I could fully brainstorm it. But I'm finally showing you everything I've created now. As I obviously said, a lot of this was done pre-Alice update, so I have not included any of the new Alice in Wonderland items. I've not included her house or Cheshire Cat's tree. It is completely from before that, so just bear that in mind when you're looking around that is a thing. But I hope you guys enjoy and I will see you at the end. Bye! So first off, we're starting off obviously in the bind, and we are starting off on the bridge that obviously you can go across when you first arrive here. Now I've done some really simple additions to this bridge. I've added a couple benches, some symmetrical flowers and just a couple of lighting items to really give it a warm feel. I obviously didn't want to use too much, as obviously decorating this whole island in an item limit is very difficult. And then at the end of the bridge I've obviously added 2 different houses. I added in the Halloween style house from the premium shop and also Gaston's house with some items around that fit the kind of autumnal theme and also the theme of both of these houses, as I wanted to include them in the bind, but the bind is quite small, so there wasn't enough room to include them in the ground level, so I put them up here. Talking of the ground level, as we head down the stairs, you can obviously see we've got our main kind of village city area. So as we go down, we've obviously got a lot of foliage. We've got the fountain as the centerpiece in here, and I really wanted to keep up with a lot of lighting in here and make it feel really warm and homely. I used a lot of the craftable book fences as well as some of the new lampposts to really give it this warm vibe. And on the left, one of the first sections we have is where my home is. I have recently changed it to the enchanted house, but I did have it as the house we got with the Vale bundle for a long time, like the clock house. But I did recently change it, so that is one of the only changes I have made pre-tour. And I've just got a little dining table for people to hang out outside the front of my house and given it a really simple design. Heading out of there and down, we have got Belle's library. This is from the Belle bundle in the premium shop. I just really felt like it fit in here, even though it has got the blue roof and the blue detailing. I just felt like Belle's vibe worked so well in here, and as you can see I've also included the Belle farmhouse again from the premium shop into this spot next to my home to really fit with this warm vibe. I just really felt like it really encapsulated kind of the style of Beauty and the Beast and also that kind of theme, and obviously the book theme works so well. So as you see going forward, I do include a lot of that. But on this final section of the city, I've obviously got my exit out to Mythopia, which is just decorated with lots of flowers, bushes, mushrooms, and then we have got Scrooge's store with just a really simple kind of fountain design and some bookshelves around the edges. Next to that, I've got one of the pergolas that you can get from the Storybook Vale Scrooge store, which I really loved including here and creating like a little seating spot. And then we have got Remy's restaurant, which obviously I've put some simple little designs in front of, but then on the right of it I have made a full-on seating area with the tavern bar that we get from Flynn's Friendship Levels. Heading out of there, I just created a little pebbled walkway over to the beach area just so it can be accessed, and added in one of Tiana's water towers and lots of hay bales and things like that to really fit this area. Then as we head round, I've got one of the craftable little ping pong tables. I love how this looks, and then also a cozy little seating area hidden over on the beach so you can sit here and look at the water and enjoy the view, and obviously it lets you lead back around as well. Heading into this small tiny little section we have got at the front of the bind, I wanted to do some really simple designs, so I added in some of the trolley carts we got from an autumnal bundle in the premium shop. We have got some little seating areas with some drinks on because I felt like it just fits so well in this cozy spot. And then again I've got another pergola item, but it is in a different colour, which again has created a little cozy reading nook, which I felt like just would be somewhere people would want to hang out. And then on the opposite side I've obviously gone for a similar pathway, but added in some of the book fences and then 2 of the new little campfires, because I felt like these just fit so well around the fountain and just had this cozy little spot. Nothing too crazy on this island because it is very, very small. The hitbox for placing furniture is quite tight, but this is just what I came up with in such a small space. Now heading out of there, we are going to head over to the other section of the bind. So we are obviously going through the bridge underneath. And as you can see, this area is a lot more of a harvest village. That was kind of the theme I went for when I created this. So I've obviously got the pumpkin archway to lead you in. And then one of the first things you're greeted with in here is this massive harvest table filled with foods and lighting and pumpkins. I wanted it to really feel like a massive harvest celebration and kind of have it here all year round, not just in the autumn season. Heading around towards where the stairs are, we have obviously got the wishing well, and we have got just some simple decorations behind that Gaston is posing by. We've got a clock tower in the middle at the bottom of the stairs to really lead you in, and then a couple of stalls to fit the kind of farmer's market feel that I was going for. To continue that, on the side of Fairy Godmother's pumpkin house, we've again got an expansion to the farmer's market. I've got some of the Lilo and Stitch little market stalls. I've got Goofy's stall, as well as a little mini farm showing off a lot of the new plants and vegetables from the Vale. And then behind that, we've got a little storage area filled with different farming equipment that I assume Fairy Godmother uses when she's farming. And then in front of her house, we've got some more simple little carts and trolleys and things like that to fit her farming needs. Opposite that, in a secret kind of little area, we have got a picnic blanket as well as a cozy little bonfire seating bit. I wasn't quite sure what to put in this tiny little section, and rather than just filling it with foliage, I decided to create that, and that is in front of a bigger section, which is, as you can see, where Belle and Beast Castle is. So in here I've given it more of a grand entrance because obviously it is a royal palace, so I wanted it to feel a lot more grand. And then we've got the pathway leading down. Now, as you can see, this area is very big. I wanted to give them a really nice big space, and I really enjoyed creating this book themed area. So as you can see, there is a lot of books and a lot of clutter in here. I wanted it to feel very, very busy. I wanted it to have the combination of Beast's interest in flowers and planting and things like that, but also have Belle's interest in books. So I've given them a little reading nook area inside the gazebo. I've created kind of more overgrown foliage areas that he probably tends to, and then created a little rock pathway leading out to the beach where we have got their little dining table hidden for when they have romantic date nights, and some of the swan boats in the water to fit with the romantic theme of Beauty and the Beast as well. But this area I really, really did enjoy doing. Heading out of there and down the path, we have just got a couple more floral decorations before we have the wilted flower cottage. This one I just felt like fits so well in the bind. I was debating having it in a fairy area for a long time, but it just matches the colours of the bind so well, so I have that in there, and just some more foliage and lighting before we head up to Everafter. But before that, we are going to go up to Mythopia. So heading up from the bind, so this is from where Scrooge's store is. We head up, and then we have our first section of Mythopia, which is obviously Elysian Fields, and in here, as you can see straight away, we have got a Mulan theme. So all my Mulan style buildings and houses and stuff like that are all in this area. Now, this is one of the areas that I left till recently. I just was trying to figure out the layout of it and what I wanted to put here, and when I decided to add Mulan, I just felt like it gave me the inspiration to get it done. So as you can see, we've got some simple pathway leading to the different archways. We've got the well on the left, and then we have a little orchard section on the left hand side, which we will see later. But before that, we are going to head into the Mulan area. So as you can see, I've got a couple of the turning red statues to introduce you in. Lots of pink trees and pink florals to fit the vibe. And as we walk through, we've got a lot of lights in here. I wanted to make it sunset so you guys could see the lighting throughout the different biomes. And in this one, I feel like it definitely was needed because these houses light up so well and obviously just fit the theme. I've got a couple of natural foliage that goes with Mythopia, and then obviously blended in with a lot of the pinks and things like that that go with more the Mulan style. I wanted to make the pond section here really, really busy. I added a couple of the little paper boats that we got around the time of the Mulan update. So those are in the water to obviously fit that theme, and obviously a lot of lily pads to again tie into the pink vibes. Now opposite that we've got two of the premium shop houses with a little seating area in between where people can sit and eat and enjoy together. And then we head down and we have got another little section. I kind of wanted to keep it divided a little bit so it didn't feel too open. So I've added in a little seating area where we've got the shadow puppet little stage, and then we have got Mulan's house and also the Turning Red premium shop house. I wanted to keep those in here because they're a lot smaller. And then next to that we have got a very big training camp area. This area I loved doing. I feel like the gazebo from the Oasis Star Path works so well in here to create like the main camp tent where obviously like the leaders and stuff would be. So I added in a lot of Mulan items in here, like the map table and things like that to fit with that. And then obviously on the opposite side I added in a cooking station, some tents, and also like a training ground bit with a lot of the different like seating and things like that to make it really feel like people would actually be in here and training with the mannequins. So I wanted to try and include as many of these items as possible in an area that wasn't too big. Now heading out of the camp area, we've obviously got just a little simple fountain in the middle of the two houses and some very simple floral design. Now I did include the Mulan item we got from the tapestries, even though it doesn't blend in. I hope at some point they fix this item so it does just change to the ground, but I wanted to include it anyway, even though it does look a little bit odd. And now if we head back to this area you saw before at the start of this biome, this is just a more Mythopia themed orchard. So I've included all of the different trees that you get in here with the different like forageables on, and use some archways and lighting to just create this simple little orchard area and a little exit out to that lower bit that we use for questing and also for Goofy's stall. The next biome we are heading up to is the Fiery Plains, obviously still in Mythopia, and this is more of a darker section. As you can tell as soon as we go in, I've used some of the brick walls and the castle walls and created more of a spooky theme in here because this is where Hades' house is, as you can see. So I added in like the Well of Souls and also this little area with some of his questline items, and obviously kept the kind of Hercules style theme in here, but obviously mismatched it with the darker brick to fit his home, because obviously his home does have more of a sinister look to it. I added a couple of his stones outside the front of his house and lots of blue lighting to fit with the theme to keep this area feeling darker and more spooky. And then as we head over to the other side of the Fiery Plains, we have my statue garden. So in here I wanted to capture kind of the Greek theme with all the statues. So I used a lot of the different statues we have in game, a lot of the Hercules items that we have, as well as lots of fountains and water things. As you can see, I've added in some of the craftable statues into this side panel. And I've also added in one of the Turning Red ones and used a lot of the marble fences that we can craft to contain the statues to really make it feel like a kind of whimsical statue garden that you can walk around. I added in some of the ones from the tapestries, which are these gorgeous water fountains. And then as we headed through, I kind of just did a blend of lots of different statues and also a lot of foliage. I wanted to use foliage in here to make it feel really bright, really warm, and obviously surround these statues just so they didn't look too plain and kind of boring. There's the exit out to the lower section, but before we go down there, we've obviously got the rest of the statue garden going through. Now in this area, as it's quite a big open area, I wanted to make it kind of have this weaving path. So that was my main aim, to make it kind of weave and go around in this kind of S-shaped pattern. So that it felt like you really were wandering through these gardens. There's all the different types of statues that we can both craft and buy in game, and I wanted to keep it feeling really eclectic, have lots of smaller little podiums with vases and stuff on like that to again go with the theme. And then that leads all the way to the end where we have our wishing well for this biome, so that we can obviously access that as well. And I felt like it kind of fit with the statue theme anyway, as it kind of looks like it would be part of that area. So I wanted to keep that within this design and keep it all feeling very tight with all of the marble fences around. Now from here we head down to the statue shadow, which is my favourite biome that I have decorated in Mythopia. And as you can see from this view up here, you will see why. I went for a very big kind of Greek courtyard theme. I used a lot of the craftable rugs that we got in the Vale, as well as a lot of these fences and posts, as well as a lot of the Hercules archways to create a symmetrical courtyard. You can see in the middle here I've used Touch of Magic rugs to make it look like a big pond with fountains and foliage. as well as lots of warm lighting around to make it feel really bright. I added in Charlotte's house from the premium shop because I felt like it fits so well in here because of how bright and yellow it is, and then added in some of the windmills on either side, lots of floral planters to go with the yellow and pink theme that was going on throughout, as well as more of those craftable fountains to really make it feel very homely. Now as we head round to the outer side on the right, we have our first kind of open courtyard section, which has got one of the Little Mermaid fountains in the middle. I placed some fountain tiles underneath to give it a bit more character, which is a tip I like to do with these fountains because they can feel a bit boring because they have no water. And also as well, I added in one of the bell blankets underneath one of these craftable rugs, which actually gets rid of the blanket part. So that is a tip if you are looking to do that. And then as we head through there, we head down to the section that just leads to where the trial area is and where obviously the big Hades statue is, and wanted to kind of keep that feeling really structured with lots of trees along. Obviously this can really affect your item limit, so if you do have obviously a struggle with an item limit, scrap that. It really does take up so much. And then as we go behind, we have got this open courtyard section where we have got a fountain in the middle, a little Pegasus house, and lots of books and kind of instruments to fit with that Greek theme. Now as we move on from the well, I can quickly obviously show you where the entrance is from Elysian Fields. It's nothing too exciting, it's just got one of the craftable little like bunting book kind of archways that we can get in the crafting table with the Storybook Vale, which I thought was really cute to go here. And then as we head back into the courtyard, you can obviously see there's another exit in to get into there. And then as we cross over the courtyard onto the opposite side, you will see that I've gone completely symmetrical. So it has another section on the other side that has the exact same topiaries, the exact same fountain, the exact same gazebo. It is literally completely symmetrical. So that is obviously just what I decided to do for this design, and it worked quite well. But then as we head down to the trees on this side, I had a little bit more space when it came to this little section before the trial area. So I did add in one of the Regal fountains from Scrooge's store and just some water fountains to go with it, because there was just this bigger area that I needed to fill, and I felt like a fountain in here just worked quite well to fill up the space. And then I just used some pathway to create a little design underneath it to make it a little bit more different than the rest of the build. And then we now can head out into our final section of Mythopia, which is obviously Mount Olympus. Now in here in the first side, I actually went for something a little bit different and a little bit out of the box, which was to create a Toontown in here. If you haven't seen the video, I'll leave the link in the description, but I did a whole video of me creating Toontown in here, so you can see how I laid out all the different characters' houses. But as you can see, I've included all of Mickey and friends in here, obviously except for Oswald, just because he didn't fit. But I've added in Mickey, Minnie, Daisy, Donald and Goofy in here, and obviously put their houses in this kind of like semicircle shape, so it really felt like you could see every house, and added a little bit of personality to each house as well. So we had elements of each character in there, as well as lots of florals, topiaries, and also some dining tables in the middle that they'd sit and hang out at. I had the Centennial Fountain in the middle as the main focal point, and then I also added a couple little decorations around by Goofy and Donald's. I added in like a little fishing spot with a little camping chair and stuff like that, just to really give it some character and personality, because Donald's boat fit perfectly in this water section here. I was worried his house wasn't going to fit, but it did. And then I've also got the platinum statue in the middle as well here, with the Tiana gazebo behind, to create just this little courtyard area that I felt like they could sit and hang out at. And then opposite that, we have got the Toontown fire station from a previous star path, as well as the craftable fire truck. And as we head across the bridge with our final section, which is more of just a little quaint village, I wasn't quite sure what to put in here, and I actually had a few houses that didn't have homes yet. And as we head through, you will see there are some random kind of buildings in here, but I decided to add Tiana's house, Mirabelle's casita, Eric's house, and also the premium shop Ariel house that kind of matches with Eric's. So as you can see, that first one is on the right next to where I've got the well in the center, and I've just added some different kind of like forageable kind of craftable items around. And then we have Eric's house, which I've added his statue in front, a carriage, as well as lots of overgrown grass. I wanted it to feel very kind of fitting with his house and have that more rural look. We've obviously got a pathway that leads up to Mount Olympus itself, with one of the aerial fountains as well to kind of go with his home. And then at the back, I added in a map table and a chair, and lots of the more pirate themed items to kind of go with his home and feel like this is where he would be hanging out. Then we have obviously Mirabelle's casita, which as you can see I've added in a floral kind of wooden pathway, and then I added in a casita table which I felt like was so cute and fitting in here where her and her family would have meals. I also added in some of the stuff from the Isabella bundle as well to obviously fit with that. And on the opposite side of our house we've got a little washing line and some washing and things like that just to kind of go with the family home vibe. And then the final house we obviously got in this section, I've added a brick wall around his Tiana's, which I just love how it looks in here. I feel like the green goes so well with the yellow, and I added in some of her dining tables outside where she'd host meal for friends and kind of show them her new recipes. And I just added in some floral decor and a little crock house in here as well to go with her character. As we head through the archway, I've got Ariel's home tucked into the little water section here. I didn't want to give her house too much decor just because I wanted it to feel very hidden and kind of mystical in that bit of the water. And then as we head up the hill in the final bit of Mythopia, I've just added some really simple foliage and decor into this little section. It's kind of hard to decorate up here because the hitbox is so small, so I just added in some seating, some archways, lots of flowers and pink florals to finish up Mythopia in general. The final section we are obviously heading up to is Everafter. So this is our final biome, and as we come up from the bind we are going into the first section, which I can tell you is basically all Merida themed pretty much. I've decided to put Merida in this spot, and I do have a full video of me doing this. Actually, to be fair, I have a video of a lot of the areas in this kind of whole Vale, so I will leave the links to those in the description. But for this Merida one I wanted to include her stone circle as well as a lot of her banners that we got from her quest line and create this really whimsical but also medieval feeling area. So I used a lot of the craftable brick walls as well as the stone rug pathway to really give it that feel. I also wanted her area to really fit with her character, so I added in lots of books, I added in her archery kind of setup, as well as some of the chairs and rugs that we got from her as well as Scrooge's store in the Vale to really give it that feel. Obviously it does still have that whimsical fairy element to it with a lot of the mushrooms and flowers and things like that, but for the most part I wanted it to really fit her character and have more of an kind of outdoorsy camping style vibe. So I did add that and created a simple little rock pathway that leads down to the trial area just so we can always access it because we don't know if we're going to need it again. And it kind of just gave her this whole little section to herself because I felt like it fit her house really well. Then as we head over to the other side of this first section, this is more of a fairy core area side. We have kind of two split sections to it. So on the first side on the right, as you can see, I have this little pathway leading into this mini little orchard that I used the Mulan archways for, and just added in the strawberry bushes and the sprout bushes that we get in Everafter and moved them all to this area so they're all in one place and easy to harvest. And then obviously added lots of florals around to fit that. I then obviously had the well with lots of mushrooms and kind of whimsical foliage all around, kept this area feeling quite bright and overgrown. I wanted it to feel very foresty and kind of a little bit more confusing to get around. We have a simple little section for Goofy's stall, which I wanted to keep in a kind of a corner area that I knew I could always access. And then obviously as we head out of there, we go into more of the fairy core area. So as you can see, I've added in loads of the vine lamps to fit that, and then we have the Tinkerbell archway house that I've used as kind of an arch to introduce you to the fairy section, because this house is so good for that because of the design of it. And as you can see, going in here, it is straight away filled with lots of florals and lots of the more whimsical homes. So I added in the kind of really cute little hobbit house. This is one of my favorite houses in game, so I really wanted to find a spot for that fit with the fairy theme. We have got a gazebo in the middle, and then obviously the little mushroom section in the middle here is a kind of a centerpiece, as well as adding in the fairy bloss home and also the mushroom house to be the main two other houses in this area, with lots of foliage around, lots of mushrooms, as well as lots of the furniture that we've got with the Vale that fit the fairy core theme. Obviously, as I said, this area was done pre-Alice update, so I haven't added any of the brand new fairy core stuff that we got in that star path yet, but obviously at some point those will all be added, and it will kind of make this area even better because we have a lot more fairy core stuff now compared to what we had before. So this was kind of just my rendition of a fairy area with the kind of stuff that we had access to before the Alice update. So as we head out of there, we're going to head to our next section of Everafter, which is Teapot Falls. As I've obviously said before, this whole Vale was done pre-Alice update, so Alice's home and items and things like that are not included in this. So this is something maybe if you are a player who hasn't quite quested with Alice yet or unlocked any of that yet, these will be more of the items you probably do know about or do have access to. So first off, we have got the Alice Labyrinth kind of sign leading us in, as well as leading us into this little area where I have got the tea table. Cannot wait to change this out for some of the new chairs and tables that we got with Alice. But this was my rendition of an Alice in Wonderland tea table pre that. Which I really love the look of. I added a lot of different foods and stuff on there, and added a lot of the craftable broken teapots all around this biome, and included the cloud house just because I wasn't quite sure where this house would fit, and it actually really went with the whimsical kind of Alice theme, so I decided to add it in here because I felt like it kind of just really reminded me of like when the caterpillar's blowing the smoke out of his mouth. Very niche and very specific, but I like the look of that. And then heading into the middle, we've got our main section, which as you can see, I've added in a checkered flooring. I just added 2 of the different pathways into a checkered pattern. Takes a while to do, but it's definitely worth it, I feel like, in the end result. And obviously added the well off to the side and a big fountain in the middle. And then we have the different entrances and exits to this main section as well. So the back section leads us to the pink castle house, as well as a pathway leading down to the Teapot Falls trial, with again lots of mushrooms, lots of flowers, lots of vine lamps, very eclectic and very bright kind of pathing into this area. I've obviously also added some of the other Alice items that we had before the update, such as the caterpillar statue and things like that. And then obviously in front of the pink heart house, we also added the Cheshire Cat topiary as well to fit with the theme and make sure this felt as Alice-y as possible pre that update. So I'm excited to give this an updated look. So the next section we are walking up to now is the Fallen Fortress, which is obviously, as you can tell, where we've got our kind of fortress style building that was already in kind of the game as it was. And then I used some of the fortress walls that we got in the premium shop to create a big broken down medieval castle kind of structure. That was the main theme of this whole section. So I wanted to create kind of a main hall area, which as you can see I'm walking up to now, and it has got a main grand dining table, which I felt fit with the kind of medieval theme. I added in a bunch of banners as well as tables with kind of like swords and things like that on, a lot of broken down rural structures, as well as some of the more kind of craftable, more kind of simplistic cottagecore items I felt like fit. But before I show you the rest of that, I'll show you the outside section of this kind of area. So we've got a gazebo with some seating in around the back of this main hall, and then between all of this more overgrown kind of forested area, we have got a outdoor campsite, which I added some of the craftable camping tents, as well as a bunch of the more like camping themed items we have got, but kept it feeling quite medieval. And then outside where the front of the castle would be, I added in some of these thrones to feel like this is where the guards would sit, as well as like a carriage and things like that to feel like this is where you would enter kind of this castle ruin structure. And I also added in some of the frozen pillars around the well, as well as the Pirates of the Caribbean big stone structure. I feel like this just worked so well in here, and I find it really difficult to find a good spot for this structure, so I felt like in here it just worked well to fit with that more whimsical theme, because this does have that kind of blend of the classic medieval feel also mixed with the whimsical fairy core feel of Everafter itself. As we head back through, you can see we have got some of the tables with some of the weaponry and stuff on, and through the archway we have got our main section of the castle, which has got a fountain, and I kept things very symmetrical in here. I wanted it to feel like this main kind of corridor was matching on either side. We've obviously got the entrance into the actual trial area itself, which obviously blends very well with the same brick walls. And then out of this section I actually have a little hidden area, which is where I put Merlin's house. I felt like it fits so much to have Merlin here, as if he's like kind of the royalty kind of wizard advisory kind of theme, and I felt like his house just works so well in here to go with that kind of whimsical theme, and I kind of liked him being tucked away here. And then obviously as we head through the rest of the castle, we have got kind of this more entrance section where we've got some statues as well as lots of warm lighting. I've also added in a symmetrical design on either side and added in a bunch of benches and kind of banners and things like that to finish up the rest of the kind of castle structure. Now the final section of Everafter and of the Vale itself we are going into is Beanstalk Marches, which is right at the back. This is again one of the biomes that it took me the longest to do, but I knew I wanted to create a more villainous theme up here. As you can see, I've added in the purple kind of spooky castle we have from the premium shop and added in the Well of Souls, as well as a bunch of like night thorns and kind of overgrown plants. I still again kept with the very whimsical theme with the mushrooms and the eclectic plants and the bright colours, but obviously mismatched that with a lot of lampposts in different colours. I used a lot of blues and purples and greens, as well as a lot of the more spookier items we have. I didn't want it to feel too Halloweeny up here, so I didn't add a bunch of like pumpkins and things like that because I didn't want it to feel Halloweeny. I wanted it to feel more just kind of villainous. So I created this entrance out to Maleficent's kind of beanstalk and castle, which I really love. Added some of the Nightmare Before Christmas fountains at the front to add that bright pop of green, and then added some Maleficent thrones and some florals on either side to fit with her theme and obviously give her this grand entranceway to this area, which I'm obviously hoping we're going to be using a lot more in Act 2. Heading down to the right of that, we have got obviously the two different sides. On the right side, we have got the well, which I've just put some simple design around with some of the broken down brick walls to keep that theme going. And then next to that, I've added in a very simple little graveyard. Again, didn't want to make it feel too Halloweeny and that kind of thing. I kept it a little bit more dark, mysterious, and plain, I guess you'd say, just so it didn't feel too much kind of like a gimmicky Halloween area, more of an actual spooky graveyard. Opposite on that on the left, we've got the Witch's Cottage from the premium shop, which obviously again with the purple roof fits so well in here, and then added a little potion kind of magical crafting station on the side of that as well, with some of the different books and scrolls and things we have, and some bookshelves backed onto the wall to be kind of like a witch's haven to create. And then I added in a big root archway, which is from the tree menu, to create this little arch as we go through. On the left of that, as it's quite hard to see, but I've got Chernabog's mountain from the premium shop in here as just a subtle little kind of structure. And then we've got one of the haunted gazebos with just a simple little seating area in here with again another cauldron to kind of fit with that witchy theme that we are going for. And again, you can obviously see the lighting behind before you go over to the bridge. The final section is obviously, as you can see, Ursula's section. I wanted to put her in the water in here to again fit with that villainous vibe, and I've always found it difficult finding a spot for Ursula, and so I've created a spot in here for her with her table and her throne and her cauldron, everything she needs to get up to those suspicious things that she does during the days. So I've added in a bunch of little items for her to keep it very fitting with her character and obviously the villain theme that we had going on. So that is my whole Vale. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I've done. As I said, obviously some bits took me longer than others and I haven't actually updated it since the Alice update, so hopefully at some point I can kind of redo things and change things up based on the new items that we're going to get, as well as obviously the items coming in the upcoming Peter Pan update as well. But I hope you guys did enjoy. As I said before, there are multiple videos of different areas of these biomes being created, so I will leave them in the description in the correct order. Just so if there is a specific area in my Vale that you felt inspired by or wanted to see kind of actually being built, that will be in the description. Obviously it won't be everything, but the ones I do have I will put in there for you. But I hope you did enjoy it. Make sure you like and subscribe if you did, and if you want to see more Disney Dreamlight Valley content from me, it helps me out so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!